Hey guys, it's Luca from Learning FTG, and today I'm going to talk about some sales I made recently. So I just sold an Urza's Destiny Treachery in light play here. I sold it for $650. Kind of feeling out the market, seeing if people are actually going to buy at these prices. So someone did. So that was pretty cool. Um, I guess why did I choose to sell today? I chose to sell because I'm not really convinced on like LP stuff. I'm I'm very convinced on my near mint foils and my graded foils. Especially since the near mint foils can get graded, so they're kind of like pseudo graded foils. But I'm not so sure about LP. Although to be fair, like an LP Urza's Destiny Treachery foil, it does have a lot more value than your typical LP because people are going to be using it in their decks. And, as time goes on, I think more and more EDH players are going to be using LP foils as opposed to near mint foils because it's just so hard to get these near mint foils, and you're competing with people who are going to be grading the near mint foils. So, and it's kind of a waste, right? It's kind of like a feel bad thing to get a near mint foil and put it in your deck and not grade it because it's going to get kind of ruined, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, I'll just talk about a few things. Basically, I started investing in these cards very end of December or very beginning of January. Um, me and my dad decided to create a portfolio. He was financing it, um, and basically the cards that we're buying were reserve list cards, sealed booster boxes. So very typical to like the Rudy Alpha Investments things that I learned from watching his channel. But then I had a lot of interest in foils, and eventually, the vast majority of the portfolio, I don't know, maybe like 60-70% of the portfolio was in these foils, old border foils. So I've made a few videos talking about that, but this was the very first one I bought. And I'm going to talk about, how much profit did I make, because I think a lot of people don't really know about, how exactly, what are the margins like for these things, what are the fees like. So basically, I'll just keep this for later. But I sold it for 650. There's 67, like $68 in fees. I have to see, as this order is over $250, TCG requires that I ship it with signature confirmation. So that'll probably be another like $5 to mail that out with signature confirmation. So let's say I made 577 on this. Put that there. Um, yeah, so let's go to my eBay. And this is when I bought it. I bought it December 27th. I paid 300 bucks. Treachery times 1 Urza's Destiny LP NM foil awesome. So now looking back, like since this is one of my first purchases, I didn't realize, that this was LP. Like I thought LP NM meant that it was like near mint. So I wouldn't actually have bought it, if I bought it a month ago or whatever. Now that I know more about foils, I would just go straight for near mint stuff. Um, but I did pay 300 for it, and I also got like this as a throw-in. I believe this Hall of Gemstone. I don't remember why. For some reason, I got like some kind of discount from the seller, and I was like, "Hey, can you just throw in this Hall of Gemstone?" And now I think Hall of Gemstone is it's like 40 bucks. So that was pretty sweet. Um, but yeah, so let's talk about profits, I guess. Hopefully my bit paper will load quickly. This is kind of like what I use for a whiteboard when I'm tutoring or when I'm doing these videos. And then in here, it says I paid $324. So I guess I didn't pay shipping on this. Maybe it was like free shipping. So hopefully this thing loads. And I could start writing stuff. But I also, so if you look at my first few purchases, I bought a near mint, like near pack fresh. I believe I sent that to get graded. So that one was kind of like the second foil I bought. Um, yeah, I mean, it's cool to look at the stuff I bought. So here's like a lot of Skyclave apparitions. So I bought 8 here for $23. So I was buying them at like anywhere between 250 to like 350. So I bought, I don't know how many Skyclave apparitions I bought. I might have bought like 6 or 700 of them, and I've been selling those slowly. Actually, some copies I've been selling for like $12. But I don't know if that's gonna last. So maybe I'll just talk about that while I'm waiting for this to load. Okay, it finished loading. Um, but you know, basically the idea behind Skyclave Apparition was I just realized it was such an unbelievably powerful card. Like, you know, if you're gonna kind of determine the power level of a card in a analytical way, in a kind of objective way, you look at play percentage, and if you looked at play percentage for Skyclave Apparition, it's completely off the charts, like nothing like it. And so I simultaneously saw that this card has like completely off the chart play percentage in like modern, legacy, even vintage. I think people are playing it standard, obviously. Um, and simultaneously, it's like a $2 to $3 rare. So I just thought, wow, that just doesn't seem right. Like the upside seems really high, and the downside is, you know, worst case scenario, I end up selling these for like $1 each, so I lose like $1 or $2 per copy. So that was kind of my thought process on Skyclave. Um, so so let's do some math here. Okay, so a lot of people think, you know, you buy a Treachery for 300. I just sold it for 650, so I made 350 profit, right? Okay, and this isn't working so well. I don't know why it's not working. Let me try. I think it's like struggling to load. So you buy something for 300, you sell it for 650. Most people believe that, you know, you make that 350 profit. Do you make 350 profit? Not really. So when you buy for 300, you end up paying taxes, right? So I actually paid 324 for it. Very interesting thing that I've learned as I bought and sold more and more is, you know, if you buy graded cards or if you buy sealed booster boxes, you can actually avoid paying taxes if you use PWCC and you basically get it shipped to Oregon, and because Oregon has no sales tax, you don't pay any sales tax. So that's an interesting way to kind of get around some of the sales taxes. You will still have to pay some fees to have it stored, but you'll save a lot on sales taxes. So that's kind of a little trick. But for a card like this, you know, it's not great. It's not a graded card. It's not sealed product. You can't send it to PWCC. So maybe if you have a friend who lives in Oregon, then you could do it, but they'll still have to ship it back to you. But yeah. So I ended up paying 324, and then I got 577 after fees. So here we've got what? 650. It's like a $350 increase divided by a 300. So this is like 117% increase in price. But what are we actually netting? We're actually getting, we're actually paying 324 and getting, so 577 minus 324 divided by 324. So we're actually only getting a 78% return here. And for some reason, BitPaper is like lagging out. But, you know, so that's a big deal, you know. You may think, oh yeah, it's doubled in price. I made, or more than doubled. I made 117% return. No, you actually only made like an 80% return. So that's very important to keep in mind whenever you're doing these kinds of trades. And you just kind of learn it as you do it more and more, you know. if you're buying Skyclave apparitions at $3 and it goes up to $5, you may actually lose money. So, that's just something to think about as you're investing in Magic and flipping Magic. So that was pretty sweet. I'm pretty happy with how this Treachery turned out. You've always got to keep in mind, like, why sell now, right? God, this is annoying. My thought process for selling now is like, now I've got more information. I don't want to be holding on to LP. I bought the LP card, before I understood the differences in grading, and so now I want to liquidate that and buy near mint stuff, right? So I'm basically liquidating it at 80% market value. So I'm losing a lot of value there if I'm selling it to buy new stuff. So we'll have to see. Will it be the case that a year from now I could have sold it for twice as much, and so I was much better off not investing it? That is still to be seen, and maybe I'll keep track of that. But let's talk about some of the other things I've also sold recently. Unfortunately, I can't go into my TCG player. The reason I could show you guys the TCG player at the very beginning is because I covered up the buyer's information, like his address, so and name. So I can't go in and show you guys. But basically, there was one other card that let me try to find it. Okay, so Scrying Glass. So I got 42.57 for Scrying Glass after fees, and I believe I paid $3.24 for it. So let's try to find this in my eBay. Okay, so it was in 2021. And maybe one of these days I'll kind of go through and talk about all the different cards I've bought in the past few months, because people may find that interesting. It'll be right in the beginning. Ah, shoot, maybe it actually was in 2020. So you can see I've got some different books that I bought about trading. Come on. Ah. Okay, let me try the last 60 days. I thought it was like one of the very last things I bought, so. Oh, okay. Okay. eBay is such a mess. Okay, I can't find it, but um, I really want to find it. Let's see if I can find it. March, February. It was like January that I bought it. Unfortunately, you can't like filter in here. Okay, so let's go to. Sorry about this, guys. But I do want to show this. Oh, okay, I think I see what happened. Okay, so these are kind of the first things that I bought. Bought Yavimai Hollow. Okay, yeah, I remember these were about like Wheel of Fortune. It's probably here. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I bought a foil scrying glass. So let's see if I can actually go to this. Okay, I don't think it exists anymore. Let's see if I can do this. It may just, yeah, they don't save stuff that goes that far back. But, you know, it's interesting. I bought this foil scry. It doesn't say what condition it is. So I probably thought it was going to be near mint and end up being LP. But, so I paid $3.24 for this, which is ridiculously cheap. But, you know, if we go here, so I paid $3.24, I got that. So the return is like, it's a crazy return. You know, I made like 14x of the original price. And let's just talk about my thought process. Why do I think this went so well? So I'm actually kind of surprised. Why is someone buying an LP copy of these? You know, they're super, super rare. So the idea behind the trade was rarity. My computer is struggling. So that was the idea, rarity. You know, I basically saw, wow, there's like none of these things available. Let's look right now, actually. Scrying glass. So we'll look up foil. So if you want a foil scrying glass, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these on the market. Only one near mint. Only one lightly played. So these are really, really hard to come by. And that's all there is to it. Does anyone actually want this card? Choose a number greater than 0, choose a color, they reveal their hand. If they have exactly that many, you draw a card. I don't think anyone's playing this in any deck. It seems pretty terrible. So it's really just a pure rarity play. And that's kind of been the theme of all of the investments that I've done recently, including sealed booster boxes. I'm just looking for what is super rare. Like, what can you not find anything of? For example, I've bought, you know, it's a very unscientific way of going about it, right? I'm not making, oh yeah, this is so annoying. So you have to like get rid of the foil thing. And then you can look up the booster box. You know? So this product's out of stock. They don't have any Apocalypse booster boxes. You can't even buy one. On TCG, you can probably find some on eBay. But yeah, that's pretty much that's the idea. And I also sold another foil recently that was LP for like $50. Body Snatcher. So I guess what are the kind of lessons of this video? I kind of threw this together haphazardly, but you know, it does seem like the foils are working. It does seem like it's just these things are super rare. So, you know, usually when, for example, a Wheel of Fortune, right? Everyone's like, oh god, I gotta get my Wheel of Fortunes, and it's sold out. It was like 200 and it spiked up to like 700. Well, what happened after that is people started listing their Wheel of Fortunes. You know, hundreds and hundreds of copies of Wheel of Fortunes flooded the market, and then the price kind of, you know, stabilized at a more reasonable value, maybe around 400 or 500. So it was like 200, 700, and then came back to 400 or 500. It kind of went like this. With these foils, though, you know, the price has skyrocketed, but there's been no, you know, no drop. Because you know, there's not someone who's sitting on 10 foil treacheries. There's not even stores that have LP versions of these treacheries. There's probably some LP, but I mean, forget about near mint. It's really hard to find near mint copies of these. So I think, going after things that you basically just can't find a lot on the market has been the strategy that's worked for me. Um, and yeah, I'll continue to make these videos and talk about my investments, and hopefully be helpful, and hopefully be enlightening, and kind of giving you guys some of the insights of what I've learned over the past few months of buying and selling lots of cards, especially foils. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.